Welcome back to Decked Out.
On today's episode, we are joined by returning guests Megan and Chris, two Wizards of the Coast game designers who develop all the cards we know and love. And for today's episode, each player has brought to the table a deck built around a companion.
As always, thank you to our sponsors, Coolstuffinc, EDHRec, and Ultimate Guard, but more on them later in the video.
That's enough from us. Let's meet the players.
Hey, I'm Chris Mooney. I am a card designer for Wizards of the Coast, and today I'm playing Ramos, Dragon Engine. My companion is Jegantha, the Wellspring. Veggie built this deck for me. I looked through it. I saw a bunch of cool gold cards and even a few cards that I designed myself. So I'm hoping that we can get a lot of these cool 4 and 5 color cards into play.
Hey there, my name is Megan Smith, and I'm a game designer over at Wizards of the Coast, and today I'll be playing my Nethroi plus Umori companion deck. The trick with this is it's going to be all creatures. I'm looking for cards to dredge and put more cards into my graveyard. I'm looking for 0 power creatures to cheat Nethroi's ability, and I'm also looking for cards that have adventures to cheat the companion rule and feel like I'm getting away with it.
Hello everybody, I'm MTGNerdGirl, and today my companion is Karuga. I'm going to be getting to draw a bunch of extra cards by casting really big spells. But to make sure I get to stay in the game and cast some things earlier, I picked Gorian Wise Mentor as my commander. This is going to let me play some adventures very cheaply and get around Karuga's extra rule.
Hi, I'm Veggiewagonyee. Today I'm going to be playing Torwaki the Younger, and I like to think of myself as a pretty odd guy, so I've paired it with Obosh the Prey Piercer, which means everything in my deck is odd-costed. But in exchange, it means I'm dealing double damage, and sometimes even more. All of my spells are going straight to the face, and hopefully I can close out the game by dropping something like Sulfuric Vortex or Kervek.
Before we get into the gameplay, we'd like to take a minute to thank our patrons. Without your support, this content wouldn't be possible. And if you'd like to be a part of the show, head on over to our Patreon where you can get signed tokens from the cast and crew, join us for some spell table games, and even submit deck lists for us to play here on the channel.
And of course, you can always support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. But I think it's time to head to the game.
Welcome to the table. Let's roll to see who's first.
5.
20.
Oh, all right.
At 20.
Means you take 2 turns in a row first.
Oh wow, whoa, wait a minute. Pause. Chris just really wanted it.
Yeah. All right, here is a Zagoth Triumph. Go ahead.
I will play a Nurturing Peatland. Pay 1 life, taps for green or black, and I can pay 1 and sacrifice it later to draw a card. You?
All right. Nice, fun, fair magic. I'm going to play a Prairie Stream and pass the turn.
All right. I'll play an Evolving Wilds and pass the turn. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm going to crack my Evolving Wilds right now for a swamp.
Ooh, you're going to regret that.
Wow, I have so much information.
Here's my Xander's Lounge. And I'll tap my land to play Birds of Paradise. The green 0/1 flyer. And it can tap to make 1 mana of any color. That will be very important for this deck.
All right. I'll draw for my turn. I will play a Scrubland. It taps for a white or a black. I'll lose 1 life for my Nurturing Peatland to get me green. And I'll play Shigeki Jukai Visionary. It's a 2 mana 1/3. I can pay 1 and a green, tap it, return it to my hand, reveal the top 4 cards of my library, put a land from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest go into the graveyard. I can also channel it later to return some cards from my graveyard to my hand. So I will lose my life, and I'll pass the turn.
Okay, I'm going to play a Forest for the turn, and I'm going to go ahead and go on a little adventure here.
Ooh.
And we're going to tap blue and 1 for a young blue dragon, but we're going to cast the adventure side. And that is scry 1, draw a card. So let's go ahead and scry 1. I'll put that on the bottom and draw a card for turn. And I'll put this in the little adventure-y area here and pass.
Okay. Play a mountain and pass.
All right. I'll draw for turn. And I hope everybody is ready for a nice, friendly hug. Because we're going to play Kinios and Tiro of Miletus. A very friendly group hug card where when I go to my end step, I will draw a card. And then all of us, if we would like to, can put a land from our hand onto the battlefield, which I will do.
Is it tapped or untapped?
It is
Untapped.
untapped. Anybody who does not put a land onto the battlefield this way will get to draw a card. So my commander and my companion are both really good at making lots of mana, but what they're not good at is drawing cards. So I think this Kineos and Tiro is actually going to be really important for me. I think I'm going to need to keep it around for a long time so I can keep drawing cards and keep, the gold spells flowing.
I will put a Misty Rainforest onto the battlefield untapped. I can fetch a forest or island by paying a life.
I will play the Simic Growth Chamber, returning the forest to my hand.
Good land. I'm gonna play this mountain.
Great. Go ahead.
Since this came into untapped, I'm just going to do the thing here. I'll lose a life. I'm going to put an Indatha Triome into play. Taps for all of my colors, white, black, and green. Then I'll go to my turn. I will draw. I will play a land. It's a Volrath Stronghold. It taps for colorless mana, or I can pay 1 and a black and put target creature card from my graveyard on top of my library. There are no creatures in my graveyard just yet for that. And I will play a Deathrite Shaman. Just flung that right out there. This has a couple of abilities, but it's a 1 mana 1/2. I can tap it and exile a land from my graveyard, from any graveyard, to add 1 mana of any color. I can pay a black, tap it, and exile an instant or sorcery to have each opponent lose 2 life. Or tap green and exile a creature card from a graveyard to gain 2 life. And I will pass after that.
All right, let's untap and draw. I will play this sneaky forest that nobody knew about. And I'm gonna go ahead and just go right out and play my commander, Gorian Wise Mentor. It's a 3/4 with Vigilance that says, whenever you cast an adventure, I can copy it and choose new targets for the copy. And that will be my turn. I'm done.
Play a swamp. I'm going to tap 3 and play Sin Prodder. Ooh. 3/2 Menace. Beginning my upkeep, I reveal the top card, and I put that into my hand unless somebody takes damage equal to its cost. I will pass my turn.
All right, well, yeah, let's just go for it. I will play a Watery Grave, paying 2 life to have it enter the battlefield untapped. I will pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cast my commander, Ramos, the Dragon Engine. He's a 6 mana 4/4 flying. Whenever I cast a spell, I put a +1/+1 counter on him for each of that spell's colors. And I can remove 5 +1/+1 counters to add double Wooburg to my mana pool. That's it for me. On my end step, I will draw a card. Then we can all put a land into play. And if you don't put a land into play, you get to draw a card.
All right, I will draw a card.
I will also draw a card.
I will also draw a card.
Great. Go ahead.
At your end step, I will activate Shigeki Jukai Visionary, so I'll return them to my hand. And then I will reveal the top 4 cards of my library and put a land among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest into my graveyard. So we've got a Forest, Boseiju, a Urborg, and a Realm Cloaked Giant. Let's see, I will put an Urborg into play, so everyone's going to have swamps, and the rest of these are going to go
Great.
in there.
Great.
There we go. Then I'll untap for my turn. This notably makes it so I don't have to keep paying life for nurturing peatland if all I want is black out of it. So there we go, combo. Combo. I will play a land for turn. I will play a Takenuma Abandoned Mire. Just taps for black while it's in play, nothing fancy. And then I will play a Braids Arisen Nightmare.
Oh boy.
At the beginning of my end step, I may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If I do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent that matches that card type. If you don't, you'll lose 2 life and I will draw a card. So you got a choice there. It's the nice version. Then I will also play 1, 2, 3, and I will exile your Evolving Wild with Deathrite Shaman to get a mana of any colors. That's 4 mana. I will play a World Shaper. When World Shaper attacks, you may put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. When it dies, put all land cards from my graveyard onto the battlefield tapped.
Ooh. It's a lot of land.
I'm going to go to my end step. I'm going to choose to sacrifice my World Shaper. So I'm going to just get all those lands that I put in there earlier onto the battlefield tapped. I did it. I sacrificed a World Shaper to Braids. I got a ton of lands out of my graveyard, and now I've almost doubled all of my mana. I feel like I've just accelerated myself in this game, and now we're cooking with gasoline. I've assembled the combo, and now the game is really going to start pick up from here. And now in turn order, would you like to sacrifice a creature?
I would not.
All right, then you will lose 2 life, and I'll draw a card. Veggie.
Whoa. Yeah, I'll take the life.
I will draw a card. It's Group Hug. Oh wait, no, it's not.
Guess I'll lose 2.
All right, I've got 7 cards in hand. I will pass the turn.
Okay. I am not excited about what is currently happening. I think this should work the way I want it to, so let's just start and do it. We're going to play a winning staff.
Ooh.
It's an artifact that says whenever you copy one or more spells, instead copy it that many plus 1 time. I can choose additional targets. I can also pay 7 to tap copy target instant or sorcery that I control and then choose new targets. So it'll copy itself as well. And then I'm going to cast the Simic Growth Chamber, float the blue, but for the green, I'm going to cast
there you go.
the Acolyte, the Rose Thorn Acolyte, which allows me for the adventure side to create 1 mana of any color, which will copy from the Mentor of the Wise, which will give me 1 additional trigger, giving me 3 mana from the adventure plus the blue floating.
Green Ritual.
And then I'm going to go ahead and cast the Lindworm adventure side, which is the scale deflection that allows me to put 2 +1/+1 counters, which will be copied and then copied again for a total of 6 +1/+1 counters on here. And then I'm going to go to combat, and you drew a lot of cards.
I did draw a lot of cards.
We're going to have to come over for 9.
I don't think I can take all that damage, but I feel like I'm probably going to get clocked by the table. But I'll try and preserve as much commander damage as possible because that is pretty spooky. So I will throw Braids in front of Gorian and just let that one die.
Excellent. Then that will be the end of my turn.
Untap. Simprotter. I'm going to reveal a Temple of Malice. Would anyone like to pay 0 life?
I'll take this one, and you guys can take the future ones. I will volunteer 0 of my life points to prevent you from drawing that card.
I'll remember this. I'll remember you.
Oh, double benefit for you. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
That's right, yeah.
I'll play this Foreboding Ruins tapped. I don't want you to know about the mountains and swamps in my hand.
It's that Lord of the Rings meme. Fine, keep your secrets.
I think at this point, I just want to have this in my hand. I'm going to pay 3 to put Obosh into my hand. And I'm not going to be blocking anybody. You did draw a lot of cards.
It's got menace.
It's got menace.
You could send it to somebody else.
That's right. Well, yeah, you could send it to
3.
Currently on the board, you are the one that will crack back the least right in this moment. So
I'll remember this.
I'm scared of all the lands and stuff and the extra 3 cards. I feel
Everything's
better.
fine.
I feel better now that Braids is gone, though.
we will cast Falco Spara, Pact Weaver. So Falco enters the battlefield with a shield counter, and since this is a 3-color spell, I will put 3 +1/+1 counters on Ramos. Falco says that I can look at the top card of my library, and I can cast spells from the top card of my library by removing a counter from a creature I control, in addition to paying its cost. So the Future Sight effect on Falco Spara, combined with Ramos putting counters on himself and making lots of mana, that's a great pairing. The only problem is that once I hit a land on top of my library, the party kind of stops. So I'm really hoping I can find more ways of getting cards to cast. I'll take a little peek here, LOL.
I don't know about you, Veggie, but I feel very far behind.
yeah, I thought this was going to be the scary deck.
Let's do some things. I'll tap 2 mana and cast Root Coil Creeper. This taps for 1 mana of any color, but more importantly, it puts 2 +1/+1 counters on Ramos Dragon Engine. So now Ramos is at his full 5 counters. The ability to remove them to add 10 mana to my mana pool. I'm going to go to combat. Megan, I'm sorry, but I'm going to come at you with 9 Ramos damage.
I feel like this is totally unjustified. There we go.
All right, in my second main phase, I will remove 5 +1/+1 counters from my Ramos to add double Wooburg to my mana pool.
Here we
So
go.
that's 10 mana, 2 of each color. And then I will cast from the top rope, Omnath, Locust of Creation. In order to cast this, I've got to remove a counter from a creature I control. Goodbye, shield counter. Casting this, I get to put 4 counters onto Ramos, Dragon Engine. When Omnath enters the battlefield, I draw a card. So Omnath, in addition to being a 4/4 and drawing me a card when he shows up, has a landfall. Each successive landfall in the same turn will give me an additional bonus. I don't have any lands to play right now, so maybe that will be relevant later. I do still have 6 mana in my mana pool, and I am going to spend 4 to cast the Dune Brood Nephilim.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Dune Brood Nephilim costs 1 mana of each color except for blue. It's a 3/3, and when it deals combat damage to a player, I create a 1/1 colorless sand creature token for each land I control. Since this is 4 colors, Ramos will get 4 additional counters and go up to 8. I think that is actually where I am going to call it a day. So the Nephilim are from Guild Pact, which was in the original Ravnica block, and they are the first ever 4-color cards we've made. And if you read them, they're bizarre. This 2 mana in my mana pool will go away. I will go to my end step. I will draw a card. Then we can each put a land into play. I will put a Ketria Triumph into play. It enters the battlefield tapped. And importantly, now that I control 6 lands, the World Tree will allow all of my lands to tap for any color, which means I no longer have to track all of the various different kinds of lands that I control.
And you'll gain 4 life, right?
From Omnath.
Yes, and Omnath's first landfall ability will trigger, and I will gain 4 life.
Then we all get to draw.
Yes.
Or put a land. I will draw.
Then each of
I
you
will draw.
either gets to put a land into play or draw a card.
I'll drew.
All right, and that's the end of my turn.
All right. Untap. In my upkeep, I'm going to exile your land out of your graveyard there. I'm going to tap a black, and with that land, with that mana, I'm going to tap Volrath Stronghold. I'm going to put target creature on top of my library for my graveyard, which is a Realm Cloaked Giant. It's going to go on top of my library. Then I will draw it for my turn. I think you can see where this might be going here.
The hero that we needed.
Was it the one you deserved?
I thought that was the Adventures deck.
I am going to cast the Adventure side, so let me tap the appropriate mana. So this taps for a
Yeah,
white.
hey, wait a minute.
Hey! I'm not going to copy it though, but I will cast Realm Cloaked Giant's Adventure, which is cast off, destroy all non-giant creatures, which I believe is
No response.
all of
No
them.
response.
If this is a 9 power, does that count?
No.
I feel like it's an
giant,
honorary giant.
Well, I do have a response.
Oh.
So I will remove 5 counters from Ramos, put him down to 3. I'll add a bunch of mana to my mana pool, but I will only use 2 of it, and I will use that 2 to cast Boros Charm and give permanents I control indestructible until end of turn.
No.
Ramos will get 2 counters on him from the Boros Charm.
Ooh, who built that deck?
Could not have been the same person to have built these.
I'm sorry I ever doubted the deck.
If you've ever read the card Ramos Dragon Engine, I think you would have foreseen this as a possibility of coming, but that's okay. We all make mistakes. All the creatures will be destroyed. I don't think anyone has any more responses, so I will share your adventure. So I'll just put this over here, chilling out. They're on an adventure together. Can we all agree that I'm not the problem? Can you stop attacking me now?
Yes.
Can we stop attacking? All right, I will fetch my
Yes.
Misty Rainforest.
I have become the problem.
That all happened so fast I didn't even get to make a Heroes of the Realm joke.
This is a Bayou. It taps for a green and black and does have the forest land type.
I like how we were really far behind and now we're just way more behind.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, I need to cast a card. I will cast a Skull Prophet. It taps for a green and a black, or I can tap it to mill myself too. I'll pass to you.
All right, come on, adventure deck. Can you find an answer to
Can
something?
you find your Realm Cloaked Giant?
That would be ideal. And the answer was no. No, but we'll start with the Yavimaya Coast. I don't think there's a ton I can do, so I'm going to go ahead and just play the commander again, and we're going to hope to find something in the next turn and not be dead. Pass the turn.
Play Mountain. I'll pay 3. I'll put Toggo Goblin Weaponsmith on the board. When a land enters under my control, I make a rock that I can throw at things for 2 damage. And then, I think this is going to be scary, but like, we have to do it, right?
Yep.
3, I'm going to Chaos Warp, I guess Ramos. Like, it doesn't feel great, but it's off the board at least.
I guess I will remove 5 counters and add mana to my mana pool before it goes away.
Yeah.
All right, here's my Chaos Warp flip. It's
Hey,
boundary.
okay, we'll take that. We'll take
I will choose not to pay 2 life. You can enter the battlefield tap.
That's
You'll also gain life from Omnath as a
Oh, thank you
landfall.
very much.
I will pass my turn.
Great. I will untap.
if we all work together. I have a small teeny answer. It's not an answer. I have a small teeny
Look at the
stall.
So I think I'm going to start by playing in Indotha Triumph. Gain 4 life from Omnath's first landfall ability. Then I will go to combat. And I will attack Veggie with my Dune Brood Nephilim. And I will attack Nerd Girl with Falco, who's a 3/3 flying trample.
Yeah. I'll take.
I will get 8 Sand Warriors.
What? Oh my goodness.
Oh, sorry, they're not warriors. They're just sand creatures. Of course. Of course. How could I forget? Let's mix it up. I will tap 3 mana and put Gigantha, my companion, into my hand. And I will cast Gigantha, the Wellspring. This is a 5 mana 5/5. In order to be my companion, my starting deck had to have no double mana symbols in the cost of any card. And Gigantha's ability is that they can tap for Wooburg, but you cannot spend that mana to pay for generic costs. You have to pay for actual colored pips. That is the end of my turn. On my end step, I'm going to draw a card.
I'll draw a card.
I will also draw.
I'm drawing.
I am done. I'll just peek at my new top card thanks to Falco.
All right, draw for my turn here. What? Well, I gotta figure something out here, y'all. Let's start with a Satyr Wayfinder. When it enters the battlefield, I reveal the top 4 cards, put a land into my hand from among them, and put the rest into my graveyard. So let's take a quick peek here. All right, we got a couple of options. So I'll take this Undergrowth Stadium, I guess, into my hand, and I'll put all these into my graveyard, which is helpful because I haven't played a land for a turn. So I will go ahead and play that. It just taps for green and black, no special abilities. Or I will play one of my personal favorite cards. It's a Spike Weaver. It comes into play with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. I can pay 2 to remove a counter from it to put a 1/1 counter on another target creature. Or I can pay 1 and remove a counter from it to prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. So I will go ahead and do that and hopefully put up some shields up here against Chris's onslaught of sand creatures.
Gotta watch out for that sand. It's coarse, it's rough, it gets everywhere.
Oh, you. Let's see. I'll play my Shigeki that you knew I had.
Nature's glitter.
Yeah.
And delicious.
What?
Huh?
I will go ahead and pass the turn after that.
Let's try to find a way out of this. I don't have a lot of faith, but we're gonna try. I'm gonna start with a Temple of Plenty. Let's scry 1 when it comes into play. You know, yeah, I will keep that. It's not an answer, but it will help me in the long run. I think I'm just gonna try to set myself up for some bigger things later. Let's tap 3. I'm gonna go ahead and get my Rosethorn Acolyte. It's no longer on an adventure. We're gonna go ahead and put it onto the battlefield. Megan and Chris are both doing some really big things. I'm gonna have to dig deep and find some answers. I'm gonna go ahead and tap 3 as well to get Karuga, my companion, into my hand. Whenever it enters the battlefield, I'll get to draw cards based on permanents that are 3 or greater. And Veggie, we're friends, but I feel like it's just, you can't just leave it on the table. So like, I mean, 3, I guess, right? That's just a 2/2?
It's just a 2/2.
I'm sorry, Veggie. It's gotta.
I'll take the 3.
You did build this deck, so I feel like I should be angry that I can't do anything. I do actually now have 8 cards in hand. I'm just gonna get rid of this shark because it doesn't seem to be doing a ton for me, and that's it.
Okay. All right, let's see what I got
I
here.
will not accept this Shabraz slander. He's doing his best.
It looks like all of my opponents have tapped out their lands. Shouldn't have done that. I'm going to exile Simian Spirit Guide for 1 red mana. I'm gonna tap 3, 4 more of it to cast Mana Geyser. Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm gonna add 1 red mana for each of your tapped lands.
That's a lot of red mana.
How many do we got?
I have 7.
6, 8.
It's 21.
Yep.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna have to make sure that whatever I do at least gets some stuff out of here. I'll use 5 of it for Obosh. But now, all of my odd costed sources will deal double damage. I don't normally have to keep track of this much mana.
Well, Veggie, every time things are looking really bad for us, you tend to kill my stuff or do something helpful. So,
I think this will help at least. I'll have to use the 2 black here
oh,
and 5 for Kazarov, Sangir Pureblood. For flyer, whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt any damage, I put a +1/+1 counter on it. But I can also just pay 4 mana to deal 2 damage to target creature.
that's a big one.
Yeah. So I think I gotta gun down some stuff. Getting a lot of value off that Falco.
Just to be clear, I don't have any
Counters right now.
So I've only cast 1 card off Falco total this game.
That's enough.
Just saying.
You're-
There's plenty of other
There are. I'll get 2.
stuff. I'm just saying Omnath has gained me like 16 life. Like Gigantha's gonna make 5 mana next turn.
But I can't kill Gigantha unless I unless I
You
hit
don't
it
have
twice.
enough. You don't have enough. Okay, so Rude Dude Dune Brood over here is, making a big friend pile. So
Yeah, I think it's gonna struggle to get through now though. So I'm going to deal. We'll start with 4 damage to Falco, 2 doubled,
right, because it is doubled.
and then also deal 4 damage to Omnath, and that brings me down to 3 left.
And when those creatures are dealt damage, you get +1/+1 counters.
There's definitely not any good attacks, so that will be my turn. Cleared up some stuff.
All right, I'll untap. I will draw my card. Well, this is what we came here to do. So I guess we will do it. Here's Ramos Dragon Engine, back again from the command zone. I will tap Gigantha, add 1 of each color to my mana pool.
Look at that flavor fail from whoever built that deck that Gigantha can't pay for Ramos
Yep.
at all.
Nope, it has no help whatsoever.
It's kind of cute.
I will cast Fiery Justice. This will deal 5 damage as I choose among any number of target creatures and or players. I would like to deal 3 damage to Spikeweaver and 2 to the Skull Prophet.
That's
And
rude.
Megan, I will target you to gain 5 life.
I appreciate it. Let's see. I suppose I will activate Spikeweaver in response. I'll pay 1 and I'll remove a counter. So all combat damage is moot for this turn.
Yep.
Then I have Skull Prophet is going to be dealt 2 damage, so I can't save it. Didn't have enough mana to do that anyways. So I think I want to mill myself for 2 cards. A Horizon Canopy and a Wooded Foothills. That happens.
Ramos will get 3 +1/+1 counters from the Fiery Justice.
And Kazarov will get 2.
I've got 2 mana left, and it can only be used on actual colored pips. I will use this blue mana and these 2 creatures. Cast Teamer Ascendancy. Creatures I control have haste, and whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield, I can draw a card. Yeah, I wish I'd played that before Ramos, but I did not. I'll get 3 additional +1/+1 counters onto Ramos. We are going to let Ramos stay where he is. I will play this Steam Vents tapped, and since I cannot deal combat damage this turn, I will not attack. I will go to my end step. I will draw a card.
I will draw a card.
I will also draw.
Draw.
I will put Vault of Champions into play untapped. Go ahead.
All right. Well, this is what I came to do. So I'll tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I will cast my commander, Nethroi Apex of Death, for its mutate cost, which is 7 mana. Death Touch Lifelink. Whenever this creature mutates, return any number of target creature cards with power 10 or less from my graveyard to the battlefield. I'm targeting Shigeki as my mutate target.
Let's see it.
All right, so we're gonna count out
Results.
10 power. So we're gonna start out with the 0 power. So this counts as 0, 3, 6, 9, 10. That is most of my yard all in one go. So these will all hit the battlefield. Spikeweaver will get all of his counters back. Go to combat. Go to my second main phase. It does not look good out there, folks. It's looking a little dicey. I'll go to my end step. Braids is back in the battlefield, and if you remember, she has an end step trigger. So at the beginning of my end step, I may sacrifice a permanent. I'm going to sacrifice World Shaper again. So that will get all of my lands back into play tapped from my graveyard, which is going to be
Oh my goodness.
5 of them this time.
Oh my
I
goodness.
will find a place for those. None of them have any ETB triggers, so we'll go straight to whether or not you will have me draw a card, or will you sacrifice a card?
I will sacrifice a sand token.
I will let you draw because I have no creatures.
All right, I'll draw, so you'll lose 2 life.
I mean, I don't want you to draw more cards, but I don't have much on the board, so.
All right, and then I'll draw another card. So I actually have so many cards in hand. I'll go to discard. I'll discard 3 cards. One of them will be a Golgari Grave Troll. Another will be a Steamqueed Imp. We'll discard a Bloom Tender. I have all the mana that I need. Goes to you.
Okay, let's start with, I'm gonna tap 4. 1 blue, we're gonna cast Spark Double. You can have it enter the battlefield as a copy of basically anything. If it's a creature, it gets +1/+1. If it's a planeswalker, it gets an additional counter. I'm just gonna put it in as a creature, and also if the creature was legendary, this is no longer legendary. So I'm gonna copy Gorian.
Yeah, seems good.
So unfortunately, I don't have a ton of things going on in my hand, and I'm pretty far behind on mana and cards, but I think I can put myself in a good position to catch up here by getting an additional 5 lands onto the battlefield. I can copy lots more things. So the first thing I'm going to attempt to copy, which would cause 5 copies, would be the Adventure of Fertile Footsteps. Allows me to search for a basic and put it into play, not even tapped. So Gorian will see it, I get a copy. Gorian will see it, I get a copy. And then Twin Staff will see both of those copies, giving me 2 additional copies, giving me 5 untapped land I can put into play that are basics.
Yeah.
So that's gonna catch me up a little bit, but I'm still not excited. Also, Veggie, I just wanna say, if there's not 5 basics in here, I'm gonna cry.
There's definitely 5 basics in there, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and grab 2 forests, 2 islands, and a plains. Those will come into play untapped. I will play a Temple Garden. I will not shock it in. And the last play for my turn is I'm gonna play my Karuga. This is my companion. So Karuga lets me draw a card for each other permanent I have that has 3 CMC or greater. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'll get to draw 4. I don't think I can really attack anybody. Yeah, that will be my turn. I have 9 cards. I'm going to discard the Careful Cultivation and a Gyre Engineer. Those are mana things. I got enough mana now. I finally feel like I caught back up.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, it feels nice. And then I'll pass the turn.
Okay.
What makes the rock landfall?
Landfall. Speaking of, I'm gonna play the swamp.
We've done it.
Taga, Taga, Taga.
It's time to rock. And that's the only reason that I built a stack, so I will scoop now. Now I'll have to actually draw a rock. Yeah, that's a rock. So right now, Kazarov, if not fogged, hits for 16. 7 mana, and I need to make sure I don't get smacked real hard. Although, like, you have haste, so that is a possibility that I could die.
Yes, this fog's for everyone, by the way, so I could keep Chris completely locked down, and we could figure a way around this problem, and that could be a solution.
Yes, I would have scooped already, if not for being on a TV show.
We'll edit that one out in post.
I think I'm going to kill that Spike Weaver.
Okay.
Sure.
So I'm going to tap 4 and aim 4 damage at it.
Does make me nervous because I already have a lot of Ramos damage. I feel like you're playing into Chris's ploy here, because Chris is just going to commander damage me on the next turn. I already have 9, and this is a 10-10 currently. So I feel like I'm not the problem, but I'm certainly getting treated like I am one.
Not the problem. Well, again, I think you're not the problem for Veggie because Veggie has a non-combat damage kill. I think you are the problem for the 2 of us.
Yeah.
Everybody's a problem for me.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting over here dirtling, copying dirtly things.
All right. I will activate my Spike Weaver to prevent the damage from this turn, and then it will die to that damage. So I'll at least not take 16
In the air.
in the air. I'll just take it on the next turn instead.
I'm just going to pass a turn.
Okay. I guess I will go to combat. And I guess I will attack you, Megan, for 10.
Sure.
Ramos.
I will take 10 more commander damage.
So here's Jared Carthalion. I will make Megan the Monarch.
I don't want to get attacked anymore. Make somebody else.
I will make
Stop
Megan.
giving people reasons to attack me.
I will give you a card by making you the Monarch.
I might be the only Magic player who does not want to be the Monarch. Please stop.
I'll get some more counters on my Ramos. And then the point of this deck, as it was presented to me, was to have all the Nephilim in it. So I think we should try to get one more Nephilim into play. Here's Inktreader Nephilim. So if anybody casts an instant or sorcery that targets only Inktreader Nephilim, that spell will be copied for each other creature that the spell could target, and they'll all target different ones. So it radiates that spell out for everything on the battlefield. I'll get 4 more counters on Ramos. Again, the card in my hand doesn't really do very much at this point, so I will pass the turn. If I'm being honest, I don't have anything that works with Inktreader Nephilim. I'm kind of just playing it to see what happens. It's a very weird card, and every time I've seen it on the battlefield, something totally crazy happens. I have deployed all of my resources, and I believe that my actions in the game are starting to draw to an end.
I'm going to activate Nethroi, who is also a Shigeki, and return both of these to my hand.
Nice.
I will reveal the top 4, put a land from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest will go into the graveyard. I'll get this command beacon, that seems neat, and then I will untap. My Railcoat Giant is off on an adventure at the worst possible time. There are only a handful more cards in my deck that can solve any of these problems, and I need to draw them right now.
Need some help with those lands? I mean, I could hold some of those over here if you need.
Okay, so I'll untap for my turn. I'll go to my draw phase, and instead I will dredge a Golgari Grave Troll. So this means instead of drawing, I'll put Golgari Grave Troll into my hand, and I'll put 6 cards into my graveyard.
Another dredge card was dredged.
Right, I'll pay 4 mana. I will cast a Shalai, Voice of Plenty. It has a 3/4 flyer. Myself and planeswalkers I control and other creatures I control have hexproof. It doesn't help so much. It helps a little bit, but it doesn't help a ton. All right, so I have a Shalai, Voice of Plenty, and then I'll tap 3 mana, and I'm going to cast the adventure side of Murderous Rider, Swift End. Destroy target creature or planeswalker you lose to life, targeting the Inktreader Nephilim, which will create copies owned by Chris, targeting each creature it could target.
In a moment, Inktreader is going to copy that spell for everything that it can possibly target, but it can't hit hexproof creatures. It would be a shame if that hexproof were to go away.
I now have the privilege of swift ending all of the creatures except for Megan's creatures, and I will lose 2 life for each of the creatures that is swift ended this way.
Now, if I were to count this correctly, it is not quite enough to kill you, right?
Did you count this one though? Because I think you can kill.
Oh, okay.
Shalai will get targeted.
All right, so now that we've established what's going to happen, let's count the creatures and see how much I would take. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So there's 22 creatures. I would lose 2 life for each of those. So I will lose 44 life and go to 4.
Yeah, you would. You would lose 44 life and go to 4. With the Inktreader Nephilim trigger on the stack, I'm going to pay 3, and I'm going to cast Unlicensed Disintegration targeting Shalai.
Yes! Oh my goodness, yes!
So, it's going to destroy it, and it would deal 3 damage to Megan, doubled to 6.
And then
Okay, so if this resolves, then when the Inktreader Nephilim trigger resolves, there will be a bunch of extra swift ends that target all of Megan's stuff, which is good for you because now Megan's creatures die. It's bad for me because I will now be dead, having taken more than my 48 points of life. Any other responses?
I will float a mana.
I said I was looking forward to something crazy happening, and that was pretty crazy. If I'm being honest, I can't think of a better way to exit this game than by the hands of my own Inktreader Nephilim.
okay, so the board is cleared and Chris is dead.
So long, everyone.
And so then, Megan, you will lose 2 from the Swift End. and you will take 6 from the disintegration because it would be doubled while Obosh is on the.
Woof. All right, now what am I doing with the rest of this? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana left. So I can play out Shigeki, who I bounced to my hand, and I can mutate back onto Nethroi in the aftermath of all of this nonsense.
That's gross.
I will mutate for 7, and I will figure out what I need in here. So Shalai looked really good. It drew a removal spell, so it's 3, 6.
That's going to be hard to deal with.
7, 8, 9, 10. I will sacrifice my Soccer Tribe Elder. So there's a couple of things that came into play, but we'll start with the ones that are going to have some cool triggers. I have a Liliana Heretical Healer that says whenever another non-token creature I control dies, I can exile her and then return her to the battlefield transformed and create a 2/2 black zombie. So I'm sacrificing my Soccer Tribe Elder to fetch, which will also cause her to transform. Can I get a zombie token, please? Into a Planeswalker. This is supposed to be a creatures only deck, but we have done it. We have cast instants, sorceries, and we have Planeswalker in the battlefield. I can +2 her to have each player discard a card. I can -X her, she has 3 loyalty to start, to return target non-legendary creature card, mana value X or less from my graveyard to the battlefield, and her ultimate is get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, return it to the battlefield at the beginning of next end step. One of my favorite parts about this deck is feeling like I've cheated the companion rule. I put the Liliana Heretical Healer into the deck so I could flip it into a Planeswalker. It's the best way to feel like I'm getting away with something. So by sacrificing that Soccer Tribe Elder, I'm about to get a whole lot of value out of this. Cards in hand, everybody?
4.
0.
7.
7.
Well, I had to move to discard after playing Chungus.
Who would have thought that the Reanimator deck would be good at rebuilding after 4?
I will plus and have each player discard a card. So Liliana will go up to 5. I will discard a Golgari Grave Troll.
I'll discard what would have been nice to have out earlier. Judith, the Scourge Diva.
Ooh, life is hard over here. I'm going to discard the Mysterious Pathlighter.
Excellent. I will go to my end step. I am the Monarch, thanks to Chris on their last turn there. So I will draw for being the Monarch.
Oh, dang it.
Pass over.
That is not good. Okay, well, I've got some rebuilding to do. I cannot believe that has to be one of the most epic deaths I've ever seen in Commander. Megan's at 12 life, and I have an answer to both tap down her creatures and get in enough damage for lethal. I just need some help killing Shalai. Hopefully Veggie can find us something in his deck. Okay, I like you more, Veggie. I'm way too scared of what's happening over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and spend a lot of mana to recast my commander. Gorian allows me to double things. I'll play a land for turn and an overgrown farmland. I'm going to tap 4 for a Timeless Witness. When it enters the battlefield, I return a target card from my graveyard to my hand. I'm going to choose the Spark Double, and unfortunately, that's going to be my turn.
All right. Play Mountain. I will cast my commander, Torwaki the Younger. 3/3 reach and lifelink. Non-combat damage deals 1 extra, my non-combat damage. And when I cast an instant sorcery, I can deal 2 damage to something. And Florian Voldaren Scion, first strike, and at the beginning of my post-combat main phase, I look at the top cards of my library equal to the life that opponents have lost. I get to exile 1 of those, and that is a card that I can play this turn.
I've managed to contain the Dragon Engine. I've managed to reanimate like 30 power worth of creatures over the course of this game. I finally feel like the game is finally under my control, and it's time to start putting on the pressure. All right, I will untap all of my many lands. I will activate a Volrath Stronghold, targeting God Eternal Ronus from my graveyard to put it on top of my library before I take my draw step. Then I will draw God Eternal Ronus as my draw for turn. I will then cast a Selfless Spirit. Selfless Spirit is a 2 mana, 2/1 flying. Sacrifice it. Creatures I control gain indestructible until end of turn. This will trigger my God Eternal Oketra, which is whenever I cast a creature spell, create a 4/4 black zombie creature token with Vigilance. I will cast the God Eternal Ronus that I put into my hand, and I will get another zombie creature token, the 4/4. God Eternal Runners is a 5-mana 5/5 Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, double the power of each other creature I control until end of turn. Those creatures gain Vigilance until end of turn. And when he dies, I can put it into the top 3 cards of my library.
Okay.
I will plus Liliana up to 7. Each player is going to discard a card.
Stoic Farmer.
Temple Garden.
I would pitch Mask of Gristlebrand.
Ooh, that's a fun one. Mm-hmm. Does anyone have any like Death Touch shenanigans going on?
I have open mana.
You do have open mana. I'm wary. I will go to combat. I will declare some attack. So these ones down here can't attack. This little zombie can. So I will send Nethroi, God Eternal Ketra at you. And I will send this is a 4/2 zombie, a Stinkweed Imp, and a Shalai at NerdGirl. So they all have double power, but their toughnesses remain the same, if that helps. So this is a 10/5, a 6/4. This is a 6/6 with double strike. A Stinkweed Imp would be a 2/2, and this is a 4/2 zombie.
I will block the zombie with my Timeless Witness. And I will take the rest.
I will not block.
So that would be 10, 12 total damage? Or sorry, 10 plus 12 is 22 damage.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I will gain 10 life from Nethroi.
And then Witness and Zombie trade. Veggie, can you answer the Shalai?
Sure.
I will go to my end step. I'm the Monarch, so I will draw for Monarch.
Draw for turn. Look for an answer. Come on. Well, I need to find some answers. So let's start with a Eternal Witness. And I'm going to return Chungus to my hand.
Nice. Don't witness me.
I'm going to play a Brushland for turn. I'm going to try to find answers, Veggie. Please help with that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's make sure we tap an extra green. And I'm going to play a Karuga, which will allow me to draw 3 cards. All right, this is the 5th time I'm casting Chungus. If 30 cards deep in my deck I can't find an answer, then I don't know what to do. They weren't answers. In case you were wondering, Veggie. But seriously though, can you deal with the Shalai? Because I can save us if you can.
I can't with what I have currently.
Oh boy.
I'm hoping that I can find something.
Well, I'm going to just try to slow it down, seeing as I'm not going to hold open my answer because Veggie is not helpful at all. So we're going to tap 7 mana and we are going to cast Waker of Waves. It's a 7/7 whale. It says creatures my opponents control have -1/-0. I can pay 2, discard it from my hand and do some stuff, but I'm playing it. So hopefully that saves us, and then I will pass the turn.
All right. I'm going to pay 3 for Morbid Opportunist. So when a creature dies, I'll draw a card once per turn. Then I'll pay 1 and equip the rock to Torwalkie. I'm gonna pay 1. We're gonna tap Torwalkie and hit you in the face with a rock. I'll gain 3, and then we'll go to combat and go out of combat, and I'm gonna look at the top 3 cards of my library. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I don't like the sound of that.
All right, well, if you have to exile it face up, then the jig is up.
Yeah, I'll exile Rax's Canary and put the rest on the bottom. I have a deck full of answers, and I can't find a single one of them. And then I'll play it and put a mountain back in my hand. I don't think that there's anything that can be done past my turn.
In your end step, I'm going to flash in a Stonecloaker, which will trigger God Eternal Oketra to make a 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, it will...
Excuse me, a 3/4?
A 3/4. It will target itself to return back to my hand. When it enters the battlefield, exile target card from a graveyard. I will exile your...
Timeless Witness.
Timeless Witness, yes. That one has Eternalize, and we don't want that one coming back. So Stonecloaker will return to my hand with the resolution of that ability. And then I will sacrifice my Nurturing Peatland to draw a card. Just also dig a little deeper, because this looks dangerous for me to not be prepared. I am going to activate my Volrath Strongholds. I'm going to target this Boneyard Lurker in my graveyard, put this on top of my library. This has mutate. Whenever this creature mutates, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand.
Pretty good.
So I'll put that on top. I will draw that for my turn. I will play a Viserys here. I can sacrifice a creature to scry one. I will sacrifice my God Eternal Rodus to Viserys here to scry one. It is a May ability to put this into my library. I am just going to let it die. That's what my deck is here to do. And I'll scry one for that. We'll bottom that. My Boneyard Lurker is going to come down. I will mutate onto Nethroi again. I will keep Nethroi on top. So there are 2 mutate triggers. This is a cast, so I'll get another zombie here. Would you like to respond?
Actually, I'm going to now claim my missed trigger from a moment ago. Creature died, so I'm going to draw a card, which will be the answer to all of this.
I believe it 100%.
Just live, Veggie.
Just live.
I don't have the answer to anything, but I need you to live.
Yeah. 8, 9, and 10. Just make an easy 10 there. So these will enter the battlefield. God Eternal Rodus will get his trigger again. Golgari Grave Troll will enter with a 1/1 counter for each creature still in my graveyard, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to double the power of all of my creatures. I will plus Liliana up to 9 and have everybody discard a card. This has -1 power, so it probably shouldn't attack. I mean, I could just send a message. Let's be real. I will send all of these creatures at Veggie, and I will send these 3 zombies at you.
I'll block with the whale, and that's it.
I guess that's what we gotta do. And I don't think there's any sort of advantage to however I do this. So those are my blocks.
All right.
I will take 12.
I believe I lose 1 zombie in the trade with the whale here.
Correct.
You take the 6 we said. I will gain 10 here, and I will go to my end step. I have a Braids trigger. I will sacrifice a creature to Braids, so everybody can sacrifice a creature or have me draw a card and you will lose 2 life.
It doesn't really matter because you could just draw out of your graveyard. So I will take it and let you draw.
I mean, I guess at this point, it doesn't mean too much.
I will draw another card for that. And then I will draw a card for being the monarch. And then I'll check my hand size and we're good.
Okay, let's draw. The window is closing, but I can help as soon as we can kill the Shalai, which also can be indestructible, which is a huge problem. I'm gonna go ahead and just spark double the Chungus, and we're gonna get to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards, and maybe we find something. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and tap 4 for Irenicus's Vile Duplication. It creates a copy of something. If it's a legendary, it's no longer a legendary. So we're gonna go with another Chungus.
We're digging
because
real
we're
deep.
really needing to find an answer here. And this one will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 permanents. But I'm quickly running out of mana to use any answer I might find, so that's not good. But I'm trying to save you, Veggie. I swear I am. So, yeah, I can't do anything, Veggie. So we're going to go ahead and tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're just going to play a Primeval Bounty. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 3/3 beast token. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put 3+1/+1 counters on target creature you control. And whenever a land enters the battlefield, you can gain 3 life. I will go ahead and play a land for turn for the bounty. That's going to give me up 3 life. And I'm going to pass the turn because that's all I can do.
Okay.
I believe. I don't really believe, but it's more fun to say that you do.
All right, I have some thoughts. First, I'm going to pay 1. I'm going to cast Aphotic Wisps. Torwaki is going to become black and gain fear until end of turn, and I will draw a card, and it'll trigger the ability. It will deal 2 damage to Shalai. I will draw. I'm gonna play this Spine Rock Null. It'll come in and play tapped. I'm gonna look to the top. What, 4? Top 4? All right, we're gonna put this card under. These go on the bottom.
I just dug 15 cards deep and couldn't find an answer for Shalai.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to cast Stalking Vengeance. 5/5 haste, and whenever another creature I control dies, it deals damage equal to its power to target player. I didn't read that card. Well, reading's hard, and we are playing Magic the Gathering, so it's nobody really does it anyway, right? Yeah, that doesn't help. I think I just have to pass the turn, right?
You've moved through the bargaining phase, and now
The acceptance phase.
yeah, you're ready for acceptance.
I'm going to, in your end step, I'll sacrifice God Eternal Ronas to Viserys here to scry 1. I will leave it there, not put it into the top 3. Scry. I'll do it on top. Fewer game actions for me. I think this is more damage if I activate Shalai's ability to put a +1/+1 counter on all my creatures. I'll go to untap. I will activate Volrath. I will target God Eternal Ronas.
Yep.
We're gonna draw that from my card for turn. We're going to try and kill some people on this turn.
Okay.
I will start by ultimating Liliana. So I now have an emblem just in case something goes haywire in this last turn. Whenever any creature dies, I'll return to the battlefield under my control at the beginning of the next end step. So in case something goes sideways here, I'm going to try and do that. I'm going to cast the God Eternal Ronas, which will make a zombie here, and double the power of all of my creatures till end of turn, and they'll all get vigilance. I need to figure out how to kill everybody on this turn.
Are you moving into combat?
I will move to combat, yeah.
The only thing I can do is I can go on to an adventure of Tactician, which only targets one thing instead of 6 things, which at one point was 10 or 12 things, which I could have done. And then we could have definitely, that was 12.
Oh.
So that is a little sad, but only thing I can target will be Tapsies the Angel. And
Right.
maybe that's enough to save at least me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I've gone to combat. Shalai can't attack. She's been tapped down. So I will send a Stinkweed Imp, a Selfless Spirit, and a Nethroi at Veggie. I will send 4 zombies, Golgari Grave Troll, Braids, and God Eternal Ketra at Nerd Girl.
That is a lot of things. Veggie, can you survive?
I think only technically.
So I will be chumping the god with the Witness and presenting trades for these 5 creatures, taking the Braids.
All right, I will activate Shalai. And I will bump these up, which will fudge up the numbers. But Golgari Grave Troll won't trade.
Yep.
These were all 5 toughness. They're now 6 toughness. Is there
Okay.
anything that trades on these?
Nope, I've got nothing.
Selfless Spirit will no longer trade with Torwaki. It's going to have 3 toughness, and you'll have 2. So I think I keep everything and
We lose everything.
go to damage. Yeah, so this will be 7 damage for the Braids. You're going to take 3 damage from the Stinkweed Imp, and then everything will die. There will be some triggers. All the creatures that are dying will come back to my side of the battlefield at the beginning of the end step.
Oh my goodness.
This was to the spirit. This will die. I'll gain 2. This was to the Nethroi. Those are going to die. I'll take the 3 from the imp. Nope.
I'll go to my end step. I'll get all these creatures back into play, and I'll sack them to Viserys here to kill everyone with your Stalking Vengeance.
Amazing.
Just to clean it out so there's no more extra turns.
All right.
Dead.
Very dead.
I would like to thank Chris for not killing me with the Ramos commander damage. To let all of this is brought to you by Chris pulling punches. Despite being only restricted to creatures, I cast instants, sorceries, planeswalkers in play. I got around every part of my companion rule, and it looks like I also got around losing.
Well, I think we learned a valuable lesson today. You know, removal spells, board sweepers, graveyard hate. Sometimes it feels like putting these cards in your deck is like eating your vegetables, but I think Veggie needs to learn how to eat his vegetables.
I thought that I was going to be the most aggressive deck at the table, but turns out if you work at Wizards of the Coast, you get pretty good at this game.
I had some pretty cool adventures in my hand that I was going to get to copy and do some pretty big things, but I just needed to find one piece of interaction for that Shalai, and I couldn't. A bounce, a removal, anything, and we're back in this game. But next time. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you stick around for just a moment to hear about the sponsors that make it possible.
Coolstuffinc is the best place to pick up anything from sealed product to singles. Make sure to use our code TOPDECK at checkout for 5% off your order.
And if you need a little deck building inspiration, head on over to our sponsor EDHRec, where you can find all the synergies to match your budget and style.
Ultimate Guard is the industry leader in Magic the Gathering accessories. We're very excited about this partnership because we love their products and we know you will too. Make sure to use the link down in the description so they know that we sent you.
And if you'd like to support us more directly, you can head on over to our Patreon, where you can become a part of the show, unlock exclusive perks like signed tokens from the cast and crew, unlock some spell table games with us, and even submit deck lists for one of us to play on the show.
And of course, if you liked the video, click like. And if you really liked it, hit subscribe. That's all for now. We'll see you next time on Decked Out.